Welcome back to Wonderlane, my friends, where today we're going to be talking about addiction. Alcohol, cigarettes, hard drugs, and gambling are among the most common forms of addiction in our society, but there are also more inconspicuous forms of addiction. They lurk in the corners of everyday life, and we are usually not even aware of them. Of course, these everyday addictions don't have the same magnitude as, say, a severe alcohol addiction, but they are similar in many ways to the classic forms. Here are 5 everyday things that can be incredibly addictive. At number 5, we have sex addiction, especially addiction to pornography. Sexuality has never been more openly discussed than it is these days. And that is a pretty polarizing topic. Everywhere we look, we're confronted with scantily clad men and women, and even teenagers come into contact with pornography at younger and younger ages. According to recent statistics, in the case of pornography, being this open about our sexuality has some very negative implications. For many, porn consumption becomes a crippling addiction, which can destroy relationships, and it leads to a spiked divorce rate. The repeated consumption of pornography leads to an escalating effect and the desire for more and more salacious images. In many cases, one can rightly speak of an addiction to pornography. At number 4, we've got another everyday addiction which mainly affects young people, especially young boys: video game addiction. Some of the classic criteria for addiction also apply to gaming. It's often difficult to break a video game habit, and video game addicts often spend a lot of time gaming. At number 3, we've got another media addiction, and that would be addiction to social media. Whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or Facebook, social media channels are real time eaters. They can be extremely addictive. On the one hand, this is due to the fact that we as humans tend to find social topics incredibly interesting. On the other hand, it's because many people are addicted to being their own PR reps and putting their best foot forward online. It can become a bit of an obsession, and behind social media addiction is often a quest for recognition and boosted self-esteem. At number 2, we've got addiction to sugar and high-calorie foods. Consumption of junk food leads to a release of the neurotransmitter dopamine in our brain, and we can't get enough of that dopamine. It is precisely this dopamine release that makes sugar and high-calorie foods kind of addictive. Whether it's sweets, soft drinks, fast food, pizza, Nutella, or ice cream, the obesity rates in America today probably have something to do with an addiction to high-calorie and high-sugar foods. At number 1, we've got an addiction that's a little bit more inconspicuous than the rest. It is the addiction to employment. America is full of lazy people, but it's also full of workaholics. Human beings always need something to do, 24/7, from morning to night. It's incredibly hard for us to just sit and do nothing. If we're not consuming media or anything like that, and we're just sitting alone with ourselves, we're confronted with our own minds. We're confronted with our own thoughts, and for a lot of people, that's unnerving. The addiction to activity is probably one of the hardest addictions to kick, but it's also one of the hardest addictions to recognize. So as you can see, everyday life is full of addiction. Human beings are incredibly prone to addiction. That's because we live in a broken world, and oftentimes life gets tough. It is important to enjoy the little things, but it is equally as important to take those little good things in moderation. And that's going to do it for this video on a couple of pretty inconspicuous addictions that exist in our everyday lives. Did you enjoy this video? Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Wonderlane for new videos just like this one every day or so.